The Avatar is dead. If he was here, he would protect us. My name is Ung, and I'm the Avatar. I ran away, but I'm back now, here on the Sunday Movie Marathon. Wow. Oh, that pained me to say. Worst movie ever made.
I'm excited for that to come up on the marathon list eventually.
Is that the
Is
Avatar?
it on there?
There's M. Night Shyamalan films.
Oh my god.
Damn it, there is as well.
Well, you guys made the list, okay?
Oh no, I don't think that's on there though. So I think we'll be free. I never want to watch that movie again because it's literally the worst thing I've ever seen.
That is that movie, isn't it?
The Last Airbender.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. The Last Airbender. Terrible, terrible movie. We're back. It's episode 32 and we're back to like regularly scheduled programming. We never thought that we'd do it, but here we are.
Yeah. Start of a new era. We got a new co-host.
We do.
Yo, what a way to introduce myself. Holy shit.
Yes. But you've been on before, Darcie, so...
Yeah, everyone knows me by now. All the 4 people that listen to this podcast.
Yeah.
That's nice. And so we were able to like... It's a new era in a lot of ways because now we're able to like meet up inside again. So we've done this marathon in the same room. We actually watched the movies together again, which was a real treat because I haven't watched a movie with people in like a very long time. I've forgotten what it was like.
Yeah, I have to say, even though, spoilers, the second and third movie we watched it was not very good. I had a good time, like just hanging out at yours, watching the marathon again. It's been such a long time since we've done it. It just kind of reminded me what made us do the podcast to begin with.
Yeah, exactly. Because if we'd watched these like alone, I expect it would be a lot less fun. Because as you say, like last 2 not very good. I think even like the first one is also enhanced by like just being with different people and watching it with others again. Got like some snacks and some drinks. Just had a fun time.
I would say it was 33% enjoyable.
Yeah. I did go to the cinema again. I think we all went to the cinema.
Yeah.
I saw a Taxi Driver yesterday as I'm speaking. And, I mean, it was a great movie, obviously. But it just, I've forgotten what it was like, the experience of cinema and just going to the cinema. And, like, I said last episode that there were, like, before they closed last year, there were people, like, sat behind you and there were people sat in front of you. They haven't remedied that, unfortunately.
No.
I don't know what it was like for you that when you guys saw
No,
Spiral.
exactly the same.
Yeah.
People just everywhere. I mean, I'm saying that. Me and Chris had our own road to ourselves, but there was people in front, people behind. And if you turn around, not a single fucker's wearing masks. And it's fine because they're trying to eat, apparently. But people just didn't show up in them. And I was like, okay, fine.
Yeah, they're eating the entire time.
Yeah. It's a pretty busy screening as well. It's really weird because even when the cinemas first reopened, like after the first lockdown, like I never saw a screen like super busy. I think I saw 3 films in like big screens, like those being Tenet, New Mutants, and The Exorcist, and none of those rooms were that full considering how big the rooms were. But this one was like pretty busy. It was really weird to see.
And there was no good reason why it should have been, let's be honest.
Saw movie, people like those.
Yeah,
well,
people want to see the
fault.
Saw movies.
Yeah, I suggested it. I was at work and I said, should we just go see it? And he's like, yeah, there's 2 showings. So that's where we ended up.
I get that. But then, like, when I saw Taxi Driver, it was like me and like maybe 4 other people were in the cinema. And 3 of those people were sat directly behind me. Not really? You had all this space. And I went to book my ticket before I went to work. And when I booked my ticket, there were no like people who had booked before me. So I was like, okay, so that's going to give people a good indication not to sit directly behind me or directly in front of me. No, that didn't happen.
Yeah, I guess they just want particular seats. I don't care if people are near there.
Yeah, I suppose so. but it was a relatively small screen, I suppose.
Yeah,
But yeah.
we're seeing it tomorrow, and we booked the ticket earlier, and it's like a very, very tiny screen.
How was Saw then from the Book of Spiral?
Let's talk about the Spiral from the Book of Saw.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Do you know what? I'll let Chris take this one because he looks like he's dying to say something about it. Yeah.
So the plot of this film: Chris Rock's there. He's a cop.
Yeah.
He's there.
Yeah, he's there. He's a cop who is he has a history of bringing down corrupt, bad cops in his precinct, and everyone in his precinct hates him because of it. And there's a huge conspiracy because there's a copycat killer of Jigsaw who just appears and starts killing people in the precinct who are corrupt and dirty. And there's just this huge web of this mystery, him trying to track down this killer, everyone in the precinct thinking it's him or trying to go behind his back and getting killed because of it. What I will say is it was nice to see him do something different with the Saw formula. Although he's still got the general Saw tropes, like the really choppy editing, that really obnoxious bit where just cut around to loads of different shots for no reason. Obviously, the extreme gore and trap sequences, that's all there. But for the most part, it's a fairly slow building, mystery film. Reminded me a lot of Seven, to the point where probably a bit too much.
Just nowhere near as good.
It kind of seemed like they watched Seven, were like, oh, that's a cool film, let's try and do that again, but set it in the Saw universe.
Yeah. Well, Darren Lynn Bousman, I don't think he's that great a director.
No, he sucks.
Well, it wasn't a terrible film, but I felt like it could have been any movie and it would have been fine. Why did it have to be Saw? It just wasn't necessary.
It didn't need to be set in the Saw universe.
Not at all.
There's occasional references to Jigsaw, but for the most part, it literally could have just been a kind of story that's kind of similar.
Yeah, and if you've never seen them, it wouldn't have mattered because they literally just talk about it oh, here's this picture of John Kramer on the table. Do you remember him? And then there was posters and photos and stuff of just old traps, but no one ever mentions them really. They're just sort of there hanging on the billboard thingy. It's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
All right.
To be honest.
Maybe I'll go see it then, because I've only seen the first 3, I think.
But shit's about to get real when the Saw music starts playing, that jingle jangle music that they have in every single film.
Yeah, plays in the final bit.
Yeah.
You got the classic Saw ending where everything gets super tense and there's they're explaining the entire film and there's loads of flashbacks to bits you've already seen. That bit's always my favourite bit in the Saw films because that's where it gets so stupid and convoluted. It's just hilarious.
But that's when you also know it's about to end. So if you really hate the film, the second that music starts playing, you can go, all right, we've got 10 minutes left and I'm going to go home.
In terms of acting, Chris Rock is a terrible actor, I think. He was sucked in it.
It was not good, not good. He was making all these jokes and a lot of them just, they just felt unnecessary to the tone of the movie. Oh, my wife is cheating on me. Oh, damn, it really hurt me. And then 2 seconds later, he'd be like, fuck off, Shanks, whatever the fuck his name was. It was weird.
Yeah, there were a lot of really weird jokes. I remember when he first started talking, I turned to Darcie and he was like, anytime I hear him talk, I just think of his character from Madagascar.
Yeah.
Which actually made me
Good
laugh
old
out
Marty.
loud.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Every time I hear his voice, I just think of Everybody Hates Chris. I don't know if either of you have seen that show.
I never watched it.
Ah.
No, I thought you were talking about Chris.
Yeah.
No, he does the narration for it because apparently it's about his life. And every time I hear his voice, that's what I hear. So Chris is thinking about cartoon zebras or whatever. And I'm thinking about some small kid from the fucking... I don't even know where he's from, actually.
Yeah. Well, the Madagascar trilogy is a great trilogy, so I can't complain. Yeah. It reminded me of that.
I mean, all things considered, it wasn't terrible, but it unnecessary, I would have said. Yeah. I mean, it was good to be back in a cinema.
Samuel Jackson's in it. He kind of just shows up to swear and say the N-word a lot. That was about it.
And
really?
that weird part where he just turns out of nowhere and goes, "What you talking about, Willis?" And I just turned to Chris and I was like, "What
That was
the
like an
hell?"
exact thing he said. He said, "What
did.
are you talking about, Willis?"
He just turns around and Chris Rock's like, "What?"
Oh my god, they have no self-awareness.
No.
Why are they making this movie? I guess they wanted, like, that you say it could have been anything, but they need the Saw IP to get
Honestly,
people in seats.
Yeah.
It did not have to be a Saw movie. They just vaguely referenced it. I think they just wanted people to go and see it, which is me.
The idea of the film came because apparently Chris Rock went into Lionsgate completely uninvited and was like, "I've got a really cool idea for a Saw movie." And they were like, "Yeah, sure, let's do it."
Of course
That's
they
Lionsgate,
were.
yeah.
It's Lionsgate, yeah. They have nothing anymore. Like,
They
please,
don't
Chris Rock,
care.
save us. Please, Marty.
But yeah,
God.
it's not the worst film in the world. It's probably one of the better Saw movies, I'd say, but I don't think it's a very good movie. I probably wouldn't watch it again.
No.
Which I actually wouldn't say about the other Saw movies, because I think even the worst ones are so hilarious and ridiculous that I enjoy watching them. This one was just kind of average, I think.
Yeah, I thought I would have gotten a bit more enjoyment out of it, considering, because obviously it's so over the top and ridiculous. But yeah, apart from Samuel L. Jackson saying, "What you talking about, Willis?" I didn't really laugh all that much. Oh, apart from there's this one scene. This isn't even a spoiler. It's just really fucking funny. That weird choppy editing that they do, and there's a bit where Chris Rock is crying in his car, and it's like the funniest thing I've ever seen.
He literally just sits down, he's really calm, and it just suddenly cuts to him screaming.
It's so
It was
funny.
really funny.
No one else was laughing. It was just me and Chris just like laughing at this. It's like our sense of humour so warped that stuff like that makes us laugh.
All these people are probably here thinking like, "Oh yes, a new Saw movie. This is going to be really cool and awesome."
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know how many of those people are going to like walk out the film and be like, "Oh yeah, that was a great Saw movie," because like there's like a few traps in the film, but for the most part it's fairly slow. There's not really a lot going on. Like, I don't think if you go in wanting a Saw movie and nothing else, like have no expectations for it to be anything other than a Saw movie, I feel like you'd probably be a bit disappointed because it does take it in a different direction.
Yeah, there's not like your casual like gore scenes. I mean, there's a couple, but it's nowhere near as Saw-like as the rest of the films. Like if you're there like me to watch a bit of torture porn or whatever, it's not really going to be your film, I don't think.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if there's really much else to say about it. I'd give it like a 5 out of 10. It was fine. I wouldn't watch it again. Could have been a lot worse than it was.
I mean, I gave it a 6 out of awkwardness, but that was purely because I went on Letterboxd and I was too anxious to take back my rating. So 6 out of 10 it is.
Out of pity for Darren Lynn Boozman.
Yeah.
There you go, man.
It was better
throw
than
it to you.
Repo.
Yeah.
That's like the bar with all his films. Are they better or worse than Repo?
I haven't seen Repo, but I've heard nothing good.
Oh, you should watch it actually, because it's it's not like the worst thing in the world. It's pretty funny.
I mean, it's better than Shrek the Musical, at least.
Oh, fuck off.
Yeah, it was better than that.
Never
So
again.
If one day you're in the mood, you're like, what can I watch that's only slightly better than Shrek the Musical? I would recommend that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Chris lent me a DVD the other day. There's Gaspar Noé's Irreversible, and I watched it last night. I'm only going to do like a quick thing on this, honestly, but it was very upsetting, and I didn't really know what to think. I hadn't like looked up anything about the movie beforehand, so I was going in very blind. And basically, it's a movie that takes place in its like non-chronological order, and I didn't realize this until like maybe halfway through. And then I'm really into like Gaspar Noé shit. Like I love Climax and I love Enter the Void. So I was excited to see this. I've heard nothing but good things about it, really, or just like people praising it, and I can tell why. I understand that, and honestly, I did really like it. I liked it a lot. But there's a scene in this that's a bit too much for me. And I think I could probably say, like, trigger warning, right? Like, rape.
Yeah.
Because it's pretty horrendous that there's this one scene in it where a girl goes down into, like, a subway. And first of all, like, she's like, I'm trying to get to this place, and she's, like, walked out of this party, and then this other girl's like, oh, yeah, go down in the underpass, it's safer. I'm like, no one has ever said that, ever.
No, yeah, no one in the history of ever.
The underpass is safer. No one said that. But she goes under this underpass and, oh God, and she gets raped, and it's this, like, one shot, and it goes on for ages and ages and ages, and you're just watching it unfold, and it's truly horrible.
Yeah, it's like 7 or 8 minutes completely uninterrupted, just one shot.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So I'm like, oh, God. I'm like, fight or flight mode just talking about it right now. But I had to pause it because it was a lot to take in. And
yeah.
I've never, ever paused a movie out of, like, being so overwhelmed and, like, upset before that I just had to take a break, and I had to, like, pause it, and then I had to, like, exit off of the screen because I didn't want to look at it. And I just, like, got up and, like, walked around a bit and just, like, tried not to cry because it was so horrible to watch. And, like, I understand why it was there. And unfortunately, it kind of made, like, the rest of the movie kind of just hard to watch or just hard to, like, focus on because I was just thinking about that. But I think there's kind of merit in doing something like that because it could have been handled really terribly, and it could have been insensitive, and it could have been, like, unrealistic, and you could have just watched it and been like, this is nothing. But it was, I mean, I hesitate to call it like, oh yeah, I really enjoyed it, because I didn't. And I really fucking hated it, to truth be told. But, like, I got out of it and I was like, well, that's an experience that I've never had with anything else. And but I've been thinking about it all day today, and I was like, hope no one walks in at this point, because this would be pretty fucking hard to explain. And it's pretty violent, and it's non-stop, and it keeps going.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's
It's probably the most disturbing thing I've ever seen in a film.
Yeah. I would second that, honestly. And Gaspar Noé is quite a provocateur. Up until that point, I was kind of enjoying it. Maybe, like, bits and pieces here that I wasn't really on board with, or, like, just, like, different... The camera's going crazy at all times, and sometimes that took me out of it, because it's just, like, it would be, like, really dark, and I couldn't really see anything. But yeah, I guess just to round it off, a lot to take in. I would never recommend it to anyone. And I can't believe that you gave this DVD to me, Chris, and you're like, yeah, what's this?
He's fucked up, isn't he? He's a fucked up man.
I feel like it's worse that I gave you the DVD because I bought it on Blu-ray.
Yeah, you were like, I'm definitely going to watch this again. I don't know if I could. I don't know if I could watch it again.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Definitely not, like, in like, maybe in, like, a few years. But I could not watch it again for, like, a very long time after this. It was just, it was horrendously, viscerally affecting to me.
Yeah. I've only watched it once, and although I've just got the Blu-ray recently, I don't think I'll watch it, like, anytime super soon. Because I watched it, like, over a year ago, and it's still, like, very haunting film. So I'll get around to it, but I'm not in a rush to watch it. I mostly got it because I know eventually I do want to rewatch it.
Yeah, it's a very heady movie. I like a lot of what it tries to do, and I like the style of it. I like the structure. It's something I've never seen before, really. I understand the Blu-ray's got, like, a cut where it's, like, in chronological order, and I'm just like, why is that? Like, what's the point even?
Yeah, because the original film is, like, every scene is it's, like, in reverse order, and that what makes it work so much is, like, having, like, after that rape scene, having all these things about these characters revealed, like, just how young and innocent they are leading up to a big reveal in the last scene. I think that's what makes it just so affecting. So I don't think it'll work quite as well in proper order, but I'm interested to see it. I think even Gaspar Noé said he prefers the original version. He kind of just put it in like normal order because he was curious to see if it would still work as a film. It's also like 10 minutes shorter as well.
Yeah, that's another thing. This is like an hour and a half long, and at certain points I was like, really, this is really only an hour and a half, because it felt so long, especially during like the more oppressive scenes, and I just it was really just horrible to watch. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend it to anyone, and I wouldn't watch it again for a few years, but I appreciate what I got out of it, I suppose. So if I had to give it a rating, if I was going to do that, like 8 out of 10, probably.
Nice.
Don't watch it with your parents.
No, definitely not one to watch with anyone.
Anyone, really? No, I wouldn't watch it with anyone. I couldn't. Yeah, no, exactly. Couldn't show it to anyone, really. It's like a horrible, horrible thing.
Yeah.
It was hard to get through, like, at work, like today as well. So I was just like thinking about that the whole time.
Wow.
I was like, how the hell am I supposed to get any work done? Just thinking about this.
But if you want to start thinking about a film, I think we should start thinking about the bloody Darkman Trilogy.
Yes, indeed.
Darkman.
So yeah, we watched Darkman. We watched Darkman 1, 2, and 3.
Finally.
Yeah, finally. It's been,
finally?
6 months-ish, 7 months maybe?
Yeah, it was like beginning of November when we picked on the wheel. Because we were like, we'll probably be out of lockdown in like a couple of months and we'll get back to it. Almost half a year later, here we are.
I've only got one question,
Jesus
guys.
Christ, yeah.
Was it worth the wait?
So we talked about, in one of the very, very first episodes we talked about From Dusk Till Dawn, that trilogy. I got a lot of vibes of that. I think these two trilogies are very similar. And maybe I don't know if I could say I like Darkman more. I like the first movie more than I like I got more enjoyment out of Darkman than I did out of From Dusk Till Dawn, I suppose.
Yeah,
but
I'd agree with that.
A lot of similarities, especially in like they made this one movie and there wasn't supposed to be any sequels afterwards, but they just made them anyway a few years after and pumped out 2 sequels.
Yeah. And similarly to From Dusk Till Dawn, they shot the sequels back to back. With the From Dusk Till Dawn ones, they had 2 different directors. With this one, they had the same director. They shot 2 films within a month.
But released them the other way around.
Yeah.
And that's why, Max, the second film sucked so much, because it was meant to be the third film.
Yeah, the third film was supposed to be the second one was supposed to be the third one, and they just decided to flip it around for some reason. So I feel like when they got to filming the second film, they were like, towards the end, they were like, I can't be fucking bothered anymore.
Maybe. It actually makes sense.
But yeah, we'll talk about that in a bit. Should we talk about the first Darkman to begin?
Woo!
Yeah, let's do it.
The best of the 3.
Yep. So,
it is.
Darkman from 1990, directed by Sam Raimi, who I love. He's one of my favourite directors. Like the Evil Dead trilogy and the Spider-Man movies are just incredible movies that I can watch over and over again. He just has like a very distinct style. You can tell he really just has fun with his movies. He doesn't care whether they're a bit cartoony or over the top. He just has fun making them, and that just comes off in everything he makes, including this movie, which stars Liam Neeson. He is like a scientist who is creating like synthesized skin, which could be used for like burn victims and people like that. But the problem is they can't, in making the skin, it only lasts for, I think it's 99 minutes. And then a group of guys come along and destroy all his research and attempts to murder him. He eventually wakes up after an explosion in hospital. He has lost all like feeling to any of his nerves or anything because of his like adrenaline, I think it was. He's now got super strength and he decides to take any of the equipment that was left over in the wreckage, take it to a new layer that he's built, and get revenge on the people who tried to kill him.
Don't forget, Chris, the equipment that randomly survived the fire and explosion.
Also, there's a love interest in there, played by Frances McDormand.
Yep.
Can't forget about her.
Oh, what, Julie?
I did forget about her, though.
Good old Julie. She was forgettable, sadly.
So yeah, what did everyone think of Darkman?
It was fucking bonkers.
I loved it.
Yeah, I kind of loved it too, honestly. I gotta say. It's really stupid. Insanely stupid. But the experience, and especially, I think, watching it with you guys helped a lot in just like how we were able to react to it together, and just like the more insane moments made for just better viewing overall.
Yeah, definitely. This is my second time watching it, and the first time I watched it with a group of people, and that definitely heightened the experience. I was just having such a blast with it. It's a very stupid movie. It doesn't take itself seriously in the slightest.
No.
There's a lot of bits that are funny, but you don't really know whether it was like intentionally funny or whether it's just like something that's not very good. And that's kind of what I loved about the film. It's just very silly.
Yeah, he's like, he loses his skin and his sense of touch, and then they're like, losing his skin and his all nerve endings made him stronger than ever before.
Yeah, I'm not
while he's in hospital,
sure.
like wrapped up in these bandages.
Yeah, no, there was a lot of it that didn't. Well, none of it made any sense, but that part in particular, I thought, wait, what?
Yeah, and in the explosion, he like lost all his lips, but kept his nose and his eyes intact.
I mentioned this, right? How does he have a nose? And secondly, why does he have eyes still? Think about it. He was burnt like nearly all over his face, right? But he still has his eyeballs. He's not blind. Nothing happened to him.
He can also speak fluently without having lips.
Without lips, yeah. Like, Max, make it make sense, please. One of you, please.
Well, he just closed his eyes when the explosion was going off. Probably that's how we didn't lose him. I mean, he kept his eyelashes, I guess. But yeah, whatever.
Oh, and the beautiful CG effect of him flying up the explosion is literally funny every time.
All three movies, and we all laughed at it every time.
Every time, it's amazing.
It was golden.
That's because it's so good. It's so funny. Just on fire, flying through the air. Yeah, fantastic stuff. He had like fake teeth put in that look fucking weird as shit. The prosthetics, I actually really liked them in this movie, like his burned face and like the scarring on his body. I liked a lot of like his costume looked really good too. I can get on board with a lot of that. I just I think that the whole premise is stupid as hell, and I think none of it makes any sense.
No.
There is some great practical effect work in the film, though. I think it's by Robert Kirkman, I think his name might be. He's like a pretty big makeup and practical effect artist. Worked on all the Evil Dead movies. He worked on From Dusk Till Dawn. He's done loads of stuff, and yeah, he worked on this, and it looks really good. I think that sort of stuff like holds up really well. There's a couple bits I noticed where they use like stop motion really briefly. Like there's a bit where his entire hand is like completely destroyed, and that was like done using stop motion.
Oh, what? Where it was like melting from the heat?
No, he was like using a computer or something, and his hand was moving.
Where his hand
and it was
spins round because he's making the hand.
No, not even that. He was literally just had his hands at a computer, and one of his hands was like horribly burnt, and that was like stop motion. But it looks really cool. It's like one of those like very subtle usages of it where you wouldn't really be able to tell unless you're really like focusing on it. But I think all that stuff looks fantastic. It's only really like some of those CGI effects and green screen that don't hold up very well. But I mean, considering the tone of the movie, you can kind of let that fly. Kind of just adds to the whole
I actually just thought,
of
it just makes it funnier, like where he's like hanging from the sky or whatever, and you can just see the green screen behind him, and it's like
see like a black line around.
Yeah,
him.
literally the little halo.
Yeah, it's all that stuff makes it a lot funnier. I think it had like the same plot. There's like a lot of different things, like Deadpool. It's like the exact same plot as Deadpool. I can't blame this movie for that, obviously.
Yeah.
But like also like Cinderella, I got a lot of vibes from. Just like he's got a certain amount of time before his face starts melting off and he has to run away while he's on his date with Frances McDormand. Yeah, or like The Dark Knight, or like it reminded me a lot of like Mission Impossible when they like put the faces on themselves and like disguise themselves as different people. But that was all like, I think it works best in this movie because it's so like silly, and you get like the stupid funny moments, like when he's got Durant's face on and he's like swirling around in the door of the hotel, and they're just looking at each other. Yeah,
I think they really capture just the feel of a comic book in this film, just in how like it doesn't really take itself seriously. Like some of it's very silly, but it's also like very like fun and exciting. That it kind of just gave me the vibes that you get from reading a comic book that I don't think many films really managed to capture that well. Sam Raimi was obviously a big fan of comic books. Like he wanted to make either a film based on a comic book character called The Shadow or Batman. Like he was in talks to make the original Tim Burton Batman, and that fell through, and that kind of just led to him creating this whole new character of Darkman, which was apparently inspired by the Hunchback of Notre Dame, the Phantom of the Opera, and the Elephant Man. He kind of just blended elements of all that together, and I think it just works really well.
Yeah, 100%
you can definitely tell
the Phantom of the Opera in there, to be honest.
You can see a lot of where he gets his inspirations from. He wears them on his sleeve, I think. I think we're praising the movie a lot, but honestly, and I do like it. I like it a lot, but there was also like a lot of stuff that just wasn't like fun for me. Like I did get kind of bored for a few parts, just like plots and sequences that I've just seen before and I don't find particularly special. Like I don't know, like just like we talk about like how it's emulating all these different things, and it's like, yeah, I just see these things, and maybe I would rather watch what it's emulating at certain times than what it's trying to show me, you know?
Yeah, that's fair enough. There's a few sequences in particular that I found really funny. Like, there's that sequence of him, like when he first makes his face. It's like this weird montage where there's like beakers flying around the screen and stuff. That was quite hilarious. And
I love that bit.
I think my favourite bit of the film is the fairground scene where he's trying to win a pink elephant for his girlfriend. And he like gets like a strike, throws a ball at these bowling pins, and he's like, I want the pink elephant. And this guy was like, you had your foot over the line. He was like, no, I didn't. And he's like, starts this argument, and there's just this very cartoony guy who's like, no way. Like, acting like
it was
that.
just like the pink elephant.
Give it to me. Yeah.
It's just this very tense scene that like just builds up, and it's just really ridiculous.
So
it's so funny.
I didn't actually think that happened in the first film.
Yeah, that was the first film.
I know, I'm just completely lost. All these films, I think it's because we watched them back to back. All these films sort of like became one long film.
Yeah, I remember our friend Reed showed me that scene like, before I saw the original movie when we'd been drinking one day, and I found it so funny that I literally went home and the next day I watched the film for the first time.
It is ridiculous enough to be like, that is so funny.
Yeah. I didn't like the villains. They make a big deal out of like Durant, who's like the big bad, but he sucked, man. He sucked so much.
Shit criminal as well. Like he's not really your big master criminal, is he? Like, especially when he gets other people to do his work for him. Like he's like Fat Tony. He's just a bit shit, really, isn't he? Yeah,
he's like the big mafia head, and he's just not very good.
No, he's awful.
No, he's not. The acting's bad, and the motivations and the writing around him, his character is bad. I think most of the movie is kind of directed towards Liam Neeson being Darkman, who also I don't think is very good in the movie, but he's so not good that it's really funny.
Yeah, he's really, really over the top, but it's just so funny to watch, especially when he just starts like shouting and freaking out. That bit's like just made me laugh every single time.
Yeah, his like power move is like just fall on someone from above.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was happy when they finally brought that back at like the end of the third film.
Yeah, they do it a lot. just like, oh, he's doing this again. He's just falling on them. It's like, does this ever work?
Yeah.
I guess it does.
How did he even get up there?
Oh, who knows? He's Darkman.
Did he just crawl up the ceiling somehow?
I don't know how that happened in like every single film. But maybe
Don't
he's
think
got
about it.
like really strong dexterity. Like maybe he can grip really well. Like he's the strongest man alive, apparently.
Yeah, but he barely ever uses his strength. His super strength.
Yeah.
It's such a... I don't know. I feel like it was just like a weird add-on, as if he didn't really need to be the strongest man in the world, but because he can't feel anything, he needs to have some sort of weird superpower.
Yeah, he's got to have some superpower, otherwise he's not really a superhero or whatever he's supposed to be.
I mean, he's hardly a superhero. I would call him an anti-hero at best.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, he's a little self-interested, maybe. I think there's a lot of like shooting in this movie, a lot of guns because
A lot of
Durant's,
shooting that goes
like,
nowhere.
Yeah, so like he's
Every
running
bullet
like
misses.
yeah. I was like, does he have super bullet evading powers that I have not heard of? Like, oh yeah, losing my skin and nerve endings made me super strong, and also I can't be hit by bullets.
Yeah, like it's like he has super speed as well. Like he just seems to be able to dodge everything.
Yeah, or he's gone in like a moment's notice. He like jumps out of the hospital window, and the window itself is like
The
CG.
fake
but he's
window,
just, like,
yeah.
jumped out of it.
CGI window.
Yeah, there was a lot of like really weird, unnecessary like green screen effects where it's like you really did not need to put that in.
What's wrong
It
with a
kind
real
of-
window?
Yeah, it reminds me of like some of the newer Marvel movies where they'll like film bits on a green screen that easily could have been done on a set that wouldn't have cost that much money.
Yeah, but like, how did he survive like jumping out of the window?
Yeah.
Like, what? There's all
Just
this
like the
stuff that you have to
fly.
overlook, and you have to say, "Oh, whatever, don't think about it," because it's
there
so dumb.
is so much of the film that you have to do that
Yeah.
with.
But that's kind of why I love the film. It's just like a mindless movie. You don't really have to think about anything at all. It's just so ridiculous and entertaining.
Yeah, it's a good turn your brain off movie.
Yeah.
You see, like where he got the ideas for like Spider-Man. There's a lot from like that I feel Sam Raimi takes from his previous movies, like Evil Dead and also like Darkman. There's even like a scene like right at the end where he's trying to save the girl from dying, and he like swings from
The scaffolding
like
thing.
a scaffolding. Yeah,
Oh,
Like,
that was in the
this is
first one as
exactly
well.
like Spider-Man.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting watching his films and like seeing how he emerges back to the previous stuff he's done.
Yeah, I gotta love him, honestly. Even
Yeah.
like maybe I don't. I've only seen the first Evil Dead movie and I didn't love it, but it was all right. And this, like in two minds about it, I suppose, because it's so stupid but so entertaining. And then at least two of the Spider-Man movies I really like. And I'm really interested to see what he does with like Doctor Strange. I just think he's a very interesting director.
Oh, what, he's directing that?
Yeah, the new Doctor
Yeah.
Strange.
Oh, I had no idea. Well, then again, why would I?
Yeah.
To be fair.
He originally, for this, he wanted Bruce Campbell from the Evil Dead movies to star as Darkman, but because he was working with Universal, like a big studio, they were like, no, we're not going to put this unknown actor in there. We need to put Liam Neeson, this guy who's like this big up-and-comer, because this was like the first action movie he starred in. It was like one of his first starring roles, like just generally. And then the initial plan was instead Bruce Campbell would be like star in the sequels. That's why like right at the end of this film, Darkman puts on this mask and turns into Bruce Campbell, but he was too busy to do the sequels instead, so he kind of dodged a bullet there.
Ah, that makes so much more sense to me, because I was like, who is this random geezer? But if
Yeah,
you
like
know
right at
who
the
he
end.
is, yeah, if you know who he is though, it makes sense. But if you're like me, you're like,
Yeah.
who the fuck is he?
Or if you're like me and like I blinked and I missed that. Like, what are you talking about? Bruce Campbell. I don't know who that is. I liked the beginning, like for the gangsters or like the mafia man are like talking to each other, and then just this huge explosion happens, and like the shootout begins, and then like, everybody's getting gunned down. Like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, and there's like a guy has like a wooden leg that turns into a gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was
Takes
that
off his
part even
prosthetic
in
leg.
there? Was it related? Because I don't remember what actually, like, after that, I just didn't even think about it again.
Yes. It was Durant. He had the guns, and they were shooting because Durant had the guns.
Ah, of course. Durant!
It's always Durant.
He sucks so much. I was like,
He is terrible.
can't watch him because his performance is just
sorry, Larry
dastardly.
Drake. Fucking
Sorry,
trash.
man.
I think he was better in this one than he was in the second one, at least.
Do not. Is this a segue? Are we?
No.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's hard to be worse. I like how he meets Frances McDormand again. After he like proposed to her as she was walking to work, he's like, "Oh, you think maybe we should get married?" She's like, "Oh, I guess so." Oh wow, how romantic! And then like he doesn't want to see her again, so he just like, because he's so scarred and hideous, and so he just makes friends with a cat instead and gets on with his artificial skin work, and then like I found it really weird that like he saw like as they met again, he has like his face again as he made it, that she was more willing to accept that he was like a clone or a ghost than like, oh, he's actually alive.
Yeah, because did anyone
like, that
notice
makes a lot of sense because we never found the body.
Yeah, and what was even weirder was that he used what I thought was like a younger photo of himself. So did she go,
Yeah.
"Oh, look, he's got more hair and he's younger looking now, but he's definitely dead."
He had a really good surgery.
Yeah, no one questioned it. She was just like, "Oh, yeah, that's got to be you." Okay.
Yeah, it was so stupid
No.
how he like mapped out his new face as well. He was like, "Oh man, half of my face is so scarred and disgusting. I'll just put it in the old machine and I'll map the not burned half of my face onto the burned half of my face, and it'll be fine." And it is
Yeah, because
fine.
like half of the picture was burned over his face, so like he had to cut the other half of his face and like map it over.
Yeah, and like the
Yeah.
weird noises that he was making, he was going, "If I just," and then he was like tapping on this keyboard, like we were supposed to know what he was talking about. Like, yeah, if I
Yeah.
just get these coordinates from this quadrant and bring them over to this quadrant.
He was going insane. He was going crazy. But like, that reminded me of like, you ever get like those old like Apple computers or whatever, and like, or you do like a face filter, and it cuts half of your face, and then it maps like the half of your face onto like the other side, and it's like this mirror effect. Like, that's what it should have looked like. It shouldn't have looked good. It shouldn't have looked like his real face.
Oh yeah, it should have looked like some weird flipped mirror image, shouldn't it? Really?
Yeah, but it wasn't.
Yeah. There was a lot of like really weird bits where they were like talking about just science, and there was just loads of meaningless jargon, none of which made any sense.
Yeah,
I
it's all
had no
fake.
clue what they were talking about.
No, they were just chatting shit.
Thank God we saved the motherboard. All right. He like he's working with like some dude with this like artificial skin stuff, and then like they get beat up, and like his friend dies, and then like he goes back to it after like the building had been burned down, and miraculously all of his equipment is fine, like we said. No fire damage whatsoever, just a bit of like scorching. That makes complete sense that he can just transport it, and like he transports it over to this new warehouse like completely fine. Nobody like questions him like, "What the fuck are you doing, man? You're covered in bandages. You're transporting all this shit."
Yeah, did anyone even see him do that? Because it was just like one scene, he was in this like burnt down place, and he was like, "Oh, home," and then like 2 seconds later, he's in like this fancy new like abandoned warehouse. I'm confused.
Yeah, sees the cat and he's like, I'm
His beautiful
home.
little British short hair.
Yeah,
That would
But,
not
like-
be an alley cat, by the way.
no, it was such a nice cat, like not even like kind of dirty or whatever. But like he goes back to his work, to the lab, and all the stuff's burnt down, and he's like lamenting the loss of all the equipment, which he hasn't lost really. But then like his friend has died, and he just doesn't care.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He's never brought up again. Like he's not all that angry about the fact that they've just killed like his best mate. He's like, how dare they take my synthetic skin? They took my hands. Like,
yeah, what the fuck? He was like so mad at him. He's like, Durant! He took my hands! I'm like, did he really though? Because you can still you can still use the equipment, and you
literally
can still
use his
like, do
hands.
everything with your hands. So like, why are you so mad about like the loss of your hands? I've been mad about the loss of your face.
Yeah, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Did you guys notice that when they like credited the writers at the beginning, it was like something like 7 writers or something ridiculous working.
Yeah. Would have liked to have just seen like maybe 2 writers, maybe Sam Raimi and someone else, or just Sam Raimi, see what he would make of it. But I still like what we got. I suppose it's just bonkers and crazy.
Yeah, apparently there was like quite a lot of like behind the scenes troubles. Like the studio were quite controlling. I think that's why there were so many writers. Like apparently, like just the whole process of writing the script was super, super grueling, and there were loads of like arguments like in post production during the editing between the studio and like Sam Raimi. Apparently, there was a editor who got so stressed out about it, he like had a huge panic attack and quit the film for like a few months before coming back. There was like just everyone seemed to be clashing. I think eventually Sam Raimi kind of got his way with the movie, but I think there was still quite a lot of arguing back and forth throughout the whole thing.
It's a shame. Could have made it like excellent, but you know, I think a lot of people really, really like this movie. I think it's like a cult movie, you know?
Yeah, definitely. You can see why. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. It is a lot of fun. I would watch it again, for sure. Like,
yeah,
just to waste an hour and a half or whatever.
Yeah. Apparently they in like 1992 they were going to make a television series based on it. They like made a pilot. Larry Drake was going to come back as Robert Durant.
Oh Jesus!
They only made the pilot and it just went nowhere. But
do you know what? I think it would have worked really well as a cartoon.
Yeah, probably. It kind of feels quite cartoony.
Yeah, like it feels a bit, comic book-esque. I think it would have worked quite well. But maybe it was best that there wasn't a TV show because it wasn't that brilliant to begin with.
No. Well, it was based on a lot of, like, you can see the comic book influence. It's very comic booky. Just live action, I guess. So maybe doing it animated would be a good idea. But at the same time, there's like a lot of stuff that you can do with live action that you can't do with animation that makes it like just inherently more endearing to me.
Yeah.
Like with like he's like chasing after like Durant or whatever, and he's like running on top of a truck, and like the legs are going really fast.
Yeah, that was really ridiculous.
And then like and like the green screen and all that, he's like hanging from a helicopter, and the green screen looks terrible. It was so much fun. And then like they're like, oh, and then Durant died. He got blown up in the helicopter. I'm like, yeah, I bet he did, because you know he was in the helicopter and it exploded.
He should not have survived.
But alas,
he's like back in the next scene, and he's got like a couple of scratches.
Yeah, no, he wasn't.
That was Darkman wearing a mask for him to trick the other guy.
Oh, no.
Oh, really?
Right. So, no, he doesn't come back again until the next one, but he looks like
the
he's
next
back
film
in the next
starts
scene.
with him waking up from a coma from the helicopter crash.
That does make a bit more sense, because actually imagine if he'd come back in the next scene with only cuts on his face. I would be convinced that he was Darkman and not Darkman himself.
I don't know, but wasn't he like relatively unscathed in the second movie as well?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Should
but
have a
they'll
few
probably
scars.
like...
That's a fault with the second movie, not the first one.
Yeah, that is true. That's
Yeah.
another topic for another movie.
Speaking of which, are we ready to go to ratings?
What are we going to rate it out of?
Yeah. Durant.
Are they all ratings out of Durant? Because I love it a little bit.
No, we'll think of something else for the second one.
Right.
If we can remember it.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, this is just a really ridiculous, entertaining movie. It's a lot of fun. There's not really a lot you can say about it. Obviously, it's not flawless. It's got loads and loads of issues. But if you switch your brain off and just enjoy it for what it is, especially with a group of people, I think you'd probably have a blast with it, especially if you like Sam Raimi's style. I'm going to give it 7 Durants out of 10.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Big popcorn movie. Big, like, just schlocky fun, I think. Not amazing, but, you know, it's a good way to waste off an hour and a half, I think. Or just if you're looking for something to do. And yeah, Sam Raimi makes it good. It is evidenced by the following movies that Sam Raimi is like the golden goose of this movie. He's made it what it is. And I had a lot of fun with it, so I'm going to give it 6 Durants out of 10.
Nice.
Well, I don't think I'm going to rate it seriously because, all in all, it's not a serious film in any way, shape, or form. But for me, if it makes me laugh and entertains the shit out of me, then it's a perfect film for me. So I'm rating it 10 out of 10, boys.
Nice.
That's all that really matters at the end of the day. If you had a good time, then that's it. Film's done its job.
To be fair, I think I would have enjoyed it less if I was watching it by myself. So thanks for the dreams and memes, boys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Don't look at me. I'm hideous. So cliched. Okay. And next we watch the second movie, Darkman 2, The Return of Durant, which came out, like 5 years after, directed by some guy.
95, I think.
It was filmed in 1993, and they sat on it for 2 years.
And they should never have released it, is my honest opinion.
Like we said already, it was like filmed within a month along with the third movie. It was filmed last. It was meant to be the third movie, and then they decided, nah, let's put it second for some reason.
Yeah. So it was directed by this guy called Bradford May, who's only directed, like, I don't know, like not very good movies. And it's basically about, oh God, who knows? The Return of Durant. I suppose it's about him. Like, Darkman's back. He returns, and he's recast with some guy called Arnold Vosloo.
Zulu or something? Yeah,
who is best known for playing Imhotep, the mummy from the Brendan Fraser mummy movies.
Right. Yeah, so he's Darkman now. And he sucks. But he's trying to like perfect the formula for artificial skin to restore his original appearance, and then he discovers that Durant is still alive somehow, and he uses his artificial skin recipe to disguise himself, and he infiltrates Durant's criminal organization so he can bring him to justice. And it's really bad. And we watched it, and then we went on to the third film, and then, like 5 minutes into that film, we said to each other, "What happened in the second movie again?" And none of us could remember.
Yeah. As far as I remember, the second film started with Durant alive and then ended with Durant dead, and that is the most that I could get out of this film.
Yeah.
If anyone actually remembers anything that happened in it, everyone looks blank.
You know.
Durant is back. He survived the explosion somehow. He went into a coma. He's finally awake. And he decides he's going to, like, build his criminal syndicate or something. He just wants to make it bigger. The film is basically mostly dedicated to him. Like, it reminded me a bit of The Dark Knight, where there's less time focused on the hero, more time focused on the villain.
Yeah.
If only it was good.
Yeah, it's not good.
If only the villain was interesting.
Yeah, the thing about these movies is that, and this happens with the third movie as well, is that, and it's particularly annoying for us who as we watch these one after the other, in the beginning of this movie, they have to recap absolutely everything that happens in the last movie. So when we're just like, well, basically you don't have to see the first one to understand what's going on. And we just sat here, and it's like, what, like 5 minutes of just recap?
Do you know what? I had 100% actually forgotten that was a thing that happens in all three films. Well, obviously not all three films, but in the second and third
Last
film,
two.
it's essentially the same sequence that you had seen from the other ones. So it makes me think that maybe they thought that people wouldn't actually watch all three of them and that people would only watch the sequels, which I find a bizarre thing to think about.
Yeah.
Unless because it was released so late afterwards that they thought, no one's going to remember Darkman. We're going to have to remind everyone who Darkman was.
Yeah, so it's just like loads of archive footage of the original movie, but Liam Neeson's been replaced by the new actor in him.
Mm-hmm.
And it just looks bad. And then in the third movie, they do literally the exact same thing. Same, like, voiceover, everything is just some slightly different clips. And even then, for the most part, it's literally just the same intro. It felt like the intro sequence to a TV show.
Yeah, I felt like I was watching a series of something, like last time on Darkman.
Yeah.
It's like straight to DVD, right? It's
Yeah.
got that kind of vibe to it. Kind of B-movie
Yeah, so
type of vibe.
At the time, probably straight to VHS.
Yeah. So everyone's like really hyped, like, oh my god, I really love Darkman. Let's watch
Yeah, like-
Darkman too.
It definitely had that feel of someone copying and pasting the same intro and just going, it's right, we've now just cut 5 minutes off the runtime, so enjoy that.
Well, it kind of was just them copying, pasting the original movie, but just making it boring.
Yeah, they took all the fun out of it.
Yeah, they did. Like, the first film doesn't take itself seriously at all. It's just ridiculous. It knows exactly what it is, and that's what makes it so entertaining. Whereas this film, they just take it too seriously, and it's just so slow and boring. Like, there's just like multiple scenes of exposition of like characters just talking, and I don't give a shit. Like, we watched it to see Darkman like be super ridiculous and get into fights and stuff, and that wasn't what this film was at all. It was just like a generic crime movie with a battle sequence at the end, I guess. That was about it.
Yeah, I feel like it then begs the question of, was Darkman really a good film, or was it just good because it was like so shit? And for me, I already know it's because it's so shit, it's great. But I don't know, it just made me stop loving Darkman.
No, I don't think so. I think that Darkman is a good movie. And this was more like just a carbon copy of it, but everything was worse. And like Darkman, the original, it's like an hour and a half, and this is just a tiny bit shorter, I think. And that's not like by design. It's because like the original, it's like you're in and you're out, and you know exactly what it knows exactly what it is, and it does everything that it needs to do in the allotted time, and then it's over, and you're just like, what the fuck? And this one, it's more like, oh, we it's an hour and a half because like the first one was an hour and a half, and like that's how you get a film to feature length. And there's nothing unique about it really, and it tries so it doesn't try at all. Actually, it doesn't try, and that's what I hate about it. Because if it was so bad that it was like funny, maybe I could get on board with it a bit more. But it doesn't even. I feel like it doesn't even want to exist. Like,
I felt like it was
there's like
painful.
nothing here, and it says a lot that none of us are like really. It says a lot that we forgot about this movie as we watched it, and
yeah,
I think a lot of that is to do with just like the color palette looks worse. Like it's dark and drab. The acting is worse, and like people like line delivery is like we didn't have subtitles for this. And woe betide, we could not hear a word of what these people were saying. They mumbled every line.
Yeah, there was loads of like people who didn't like enunciate their words and like slurred a lot of the words. So we were like, what did they just say?
Yeah, I was making up half of their lines, if I'm honest with you.
Which, like, in a film that's as dialogue heavy as this is, because like the majority of the film is just people talking. Like, you need to understand what they're saying.
Yeah, it doesn't help that all the digital platformers as well, this isn't actually the movie's fault, this is everywhere that streams it, they don't offer subtitles, so I have to make up the lines if I can't hear them.
Yeah, there's a scene where Darkman, he like looks at a magazine and he sees like an ad for this lab scientist, this PhD Dr. Brinkman, and he like looks at it and he goes, and he reads exactly what's on the magazine. And he goes, Dr. Brinkman, lab scientist, PhD. And like, that's it. And that was the end of the scene. I was like, what? What was that?
Some people can't read.
Yeah.
Oh my, yeah, it was for people who can't read. And people who they're like, oh, they're not paying attention. You got to read everything to them. They're so stupid. They don't understand what's going on. Now we got to have a scene with like Durant on the top of a building, on top of a skyscraper as he golfs. And oh God, okay. Golfs off a roof, and then he sends some guy over the roof on like one of those golfing buggies, and it looks terrible.
Yeah. There were like multiple close-up shots where, like, instead of like zooming in on the camera or holding the camera closer, they like in post zoomed into the shot, so it just looked really blurry and unnatural. It looked awful.
Yeah, a lot of this is just not very well thought out. You think they had a storyboard for this, honestly, or did they just
Probably
have
not.
a script and they were like, let's just do it?
I don't think they even had that. I think they just were
shut
like,
it out.
yeah, Durant, you're back, and go.
They were like, Durant, do you want to write this script?
We're renting out this skyscraper. We're going to go on the roof. Just see what happens.
The Arnold Vosloo, whatever his name is, who plays Peyton or Darkman in this, he sucks. He's so bad. He doesn't have an American accent because the actor's South African.
He did sound British.
I had no clue what his accent was. It was going all over the place. Like Liam Neeson in the first film. Obviously, Liam Neeson isn't an American actor, but he had an American accent in that film. Like, say what you want about the quality of it, but it was there. And in this, the actor doesn't even try. Like, I couldn't tell like what nationality he was from.
Do you know what? I think that's the worst part for me, is that I didn't want to like be the one that was really stupid and be like, wait, why is Darkman's voice changed? So I didn't question it. I was just going, yes, he's British now, I guess. Okay, that's fine. Because I thought that I was just missing what Liam Neeson sounded like.
Yeah, he straddles a line between like this very posh kind of American British accent. I was like, what's happening here? He wasn't like posh in the first movie. What's with this accent?
But are people supposed to just sort of go along with it because they're now kind of going, oh, well, that's not Liam Neeson, so I guess it doesn't matter. We'll just pretend that it's... Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, when you get a new actor to replace someone, a lot of people just sort of brush it off because obviously they don't look the same and they probably don't sound the same.
People aren't supposed to anything it, Darcie. They're just supposed to like buy the VHS and like pop it on and just like, yeah, whatever.
The thing is, though, yeah, I suppose as an actor, though, if you knew that Darkman was supposed to be American, you would at least try and put on an accent. But there we go.
Maybe he never
whatever.
watched it.
Yeah, maybe he's not seen it, actually. Maybe he thought he was the original Darkman.
Yeah.
And I like, read the plot synopsis and they were like, okay. Get someone to like edit together like some clips of the first movie so I can watch it in a 5-minute stint and then add it to my movie, and then I'll just go off of what I can like understand from what that movie was. And then
it's like someone played him only that 5-minute clip and went, this is the story, now just do it.
I feel like the biggest question I have with the plot of the film is, how did Durant survive? Like, the first film ended with his helicopter crashing into a bridge and bursting into flames. There is no way he would have survived that. Like, if he like escaped the helicopter, like jumped out, he probably would have broken his neck in the fall, like, or like been burnt up in the flames when the helicopter exploded. There was literally no possible way he could survive, let alone survive completely unscathed, like just go into a coma and like perfectly recover a couple years later. It's just not possible.
Yeah, it's why did they, what was the choices behind that? Like, maybe they thought also that no one watched the first Darkman film and they thought, well, no one knew that he got blown up in the helicopter, so he just came back, I guess.
Don't think about it.
Apparently Sam Raimi came on set when they were filming this film and told the actor that Durant would be in the third Darkman movie. Obviously, he didn't tell him that the third movie had already been filmed.
Yeah. God. It's just bad, man. It's just really awful. There was like one scene I think we all like had a bit of fun with, which was like he kills a guy in the toilets, like a public toilet. He's like, "You son of a bitch! You son of a bitch! You did it! You killed him!" And then he just kills that guy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that part was funny because at least something was happening. Like I'd forgotten the film was happening, and then 2 seconds later, he's fucking flying from the ceiling and kicking someone into the seat of a toilet, and I thought, all right, here we go.
That's the only bit I liked in the whole film.
It's the only bit that actually caught my attention.
And it was over within not even a minute.
Yeah, like a millisecond, and I was like, shit, here we go.
You can tell that they really did not give a shit with this film.
No.
Like, none of the actors really try at all. All the sound effects are like stock sound effects, and they sound awful. Like, they sound like they just like bought a CD of free sound effects and just used that.
Yeah.
Just visually, it's really bad. Just everything about it's just terrible.
It was boring.
Is there a love interest in this for Darkman?
There's a love interest in every film, but
is there a woman in this? I feel like there is.
I thought the love interest in this film was but I could be getting mixed up with the third film. Isn't it like someone's sister or something?
I don't know.
Or was that the third film?
Oh yeah, that was his like partner or something.
His partner's sister, was it? Was it that film or was it the last film?
I think it was this film.
Oh, there's a girl named Jill. There's a girl named Jill in this.
Yeah. There's Lorne in the second film, where he goes to the like a nightclub to find her. I remember that part a little bit.
Yeah,
because
I vaguely remember that.
There's 2 women in every film, I think, and in the last film it was that guy's wife. Yeah. Every film sort of checks out, doesn't it? I suppose.
Yeah. So
yeah.
They got,
so in the second film,
2
it was his
women
partner's
in this,
sister.
I guess. Yeah.
The one with the long, like red curly hair, and he was all like, "Oh, who's this?" And then when he goes up to her later on, he's like, "You met me for 2 minutes. Don't you remember me? I'm Peyton." And she's like, "Who?"
Oh God, yeah. It's like a woman named Jill here who he talks to, and like she's one of 2 women in this movie, and she gets firebombed. She gets in her car and it just blows up.
Yeah. She's the news reporter, isn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, is that like the woman he like goes up to the building and like he's never met her before and he's like, "Oh, I've got a proposition for you" or something. He's like, "Find me some stuff."
Oh yeah, and then she just sort of goes along with it, like, "Oh, you better not be wasting my time."
Yeah,
like as if some creepy man hasn't just approached you in your office. But okay.
Then she got
That's
casino.
The thing, we don't
she
know.
got in her car and it blew up.
Yeah, we don't even know. That's like half of these movies are just like us trying to figure out what the hell happened because they're so damn forgettable. And that's like, yeah. So if you're going to watch these movies, don't do it. Just watch the first one, please.
Yeah. This film was also in 18, and literally I have no clue how, because everything was so mild. Like, the violence was super, super mild. Like, you could have easily gotten away with that in like a PG. There was like very little swearing. It's just nothing in it.
Yeah, nothing happened. Well, but then again, none of the 3 of us even really remember it. So maybe we just missed like a complete segment of it or something.
No, I looked up IMDb have like a parental guide.
Oh yeah.
And like every single category was mild. I think except for language, which was like moderate or severe. And I was like reading the violence, and I was like, that you could easily get away with that in like a PG or a 12A.
Yeah, but remember, these are American movies. They're quite harsh. Once they hear the shit word, they're like, "Oh no!"
Yeah, but it's still rated by the UK BBFC.
Well,
yeah,
maybe someone had the day off that day.
They saw like Durant screamed at, or like someone, I don't know. Like, "I hate Meatloaf," who screams in anguish.
I hate Meatloaf.
They're like, "I can't abide by this. This is an 18." Can't deal with the Meatloaf hate.
About that bit.
There's like a part where where Darkman is like disguised as one of Durant's men, and he's like sat in the building, in the office building with him, and like they're gathered around the table, and then like they don't know how to communicate how much Darkman hates Durant or for what reason particularly. So they're like, oh, how can we communicate that in this moment Darkman sees Durant and he's so upset at seeing him. So they just have him like in like a dream sequence scream Durant and then like launch himself across the table at him.
Oh yeah, where he's like, I'm gonna kill you, and everyone's just sort of sitting there thinking, who the fuck is this guy and what's he doing?
Did you like how he was wearing Durant's like colleague, I'm just gonna call him, one of his cronies' faces, and then he takes off the face and it has his other artificial face underneath it.
Yeah,
yeah, that was so
I was
weird.
so confused. He's wearing 2 masks.
Honestly, he was like fighting with the Russian guy as he wore his face, and out of nowhere he's just like, or like he beats him. And
Oh
he
yeah,
goes,
his name was Ivan.
No yeah, he's like, no wonder you lost the Cold War. I'm like, whoa, man. You didn't have to say that.
Did you like the fact that there was a character called Roy in the film?
What's there?
Roy.
Yeah. Some guy called Roy.
I vaguely recall. I don't remember all that much about it, to be honest.
He was like one of the other like henchmen who was like told to go outside and, I don't know, do something.
You also had this crazy scientist guy who worked with Durant, who was basically just like Doc Brown from Back to the Future. Like, he sounded the exact same, acted kind of the same. He just wasn't very memorable or likeable at all.
I don't know who you're talking about, and that actually proves your point, really.
Yeah, I remember that guy. He had like a laser, and he's like,
yeah,
oh, I've got this big laser. So he like shoots it at some people, and like they just unplug it from the mains.
Oh, yeah. I know who you're talking about now. But only because you mentioned the whole laser sequence, and I said how stupid it was that a scientist would come up with a laser and then think, oh, wait a minute, they're going to unplug my laser from the other side of the room.
Why didn't I make it battery powered?
Yeah, that's like stupid.
Oh, dear.
I don't have anything else to add to this film. I don't know if you guys do.
No,
it's
I'm
just
actually
so
sick.
forgettable.
I'm sick of it.
Vengeance has many casualties. He says at the end. He's always got this monologue at the end, and then it ends immediately after. Yeah, okay. This is where it ends because he's got his monologue, and his only line was like, "Vengeance has many casualties," and then it ends.
The way it ended so abruptly, like, and then I go into the shadows alone, and it was just like, okay,
yeah,
just
and
end
then like
there,
we're
then.
like halfway through the credits, and I'm like, oh, shit, has this movie ended? I like, didn't even register it.
Oh god.
Oh man.
I'm trying to find my rating for it.
Durant, he's taking some pills in the movie, but like I guess he doesn't know how to take a pill because it looks really bad. Like, you don't see anything in his hand. He just like puts his hand to his mouth, and then like he opens his mouth, and then that's it. And you're like, he's like, yeah, I've taken a pill, but it's like, no, you just put your hand to your mouth.
Classic
God.
Larry Drake acting there.
Yeah, one of the greats. Oh dear. Why is he like pursuing these women also? Like, he can't feel anything. Does Darkman fuck now?
Yeah, that was weird.
I found my rating.
Maybe he just wants to feel love.
He can't feel anything.
Maybe.
It doesn't matter to him now.
All he knows is his love for his work and his cat.
Yeah. We good to go to ratings then?
Yeah. Like the movie, it's an abrupt ending to the discussion.
Should we rate this out of Larry Drakes?
Larry Drakes.
Oh, you know what? There was a guy wearing a Captain America t-shirt as well.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, look at that guy. Yeah, Larry Drake.
Maybe it's foreshadowing Doctor Strange 2. Captain America's going to come back.
Well, that'd be a pretty...
He knew.
Yeah, pretty large foreshadowing,
Even though
I would say.
he didn't direct this movie.
Yeah. He just knew something. You wanted to let everyone know.
Mm-hmm.
This film sucks. It's so forgettable. I honestly think after we've finished recording this podcast, I'll never, ever think about it ever again. Because I have no reason to. It's just like, there's like, I have no memory of it left. I think I only remembered bits and pieces of it because I had it like noted down things that happened. But even then, like, it's just such a bland, nothing movie. And I'm going to give it 1 Larry Drake out of 10. A singular Larry Drake.
Yeah. It's bad, and I was actually dreading talking about it because all throughout today I was like, "Oh fuck, what was that movie about?" I have absolutely no idea, and like I had to like read through my notes again. I was like, "What?" I barely remember any of this. Yeah, it's bad. It didn't need to be a trilogy as well. It didn't need to be a trilogy. Not everything needs a sequel, you know. 1 Larry Drake. 1 Larry Drake out of 10. Sucks.
I'm no longer going to dignify it with any response. 1 Larry Drake out of 10, boys.
Skadoosh. Now we get on to the greatest movie ever.
Woo!
Darkman 3. Die, Darkman Die.
I think this film's a little bit underrated, to be honest.
Oh?
Is it though?
No, like, it was absolute dog shite, but it was at least funnier, so I think I have to give it props for being better than the second one.
Do you want to try and explain the plot to it?
So, I vaguely know the plot. Essentially, Peyton, or Darkman, as we like to call him, he needs more money to fund his synthetic skin experiments. But apparently the pot is now dry. He needs to look for some money. So he steals 300 grand from one of the local arms dealers, but I can't remember his name. I think it's Rooker or something like that. And that is essentially the plot all in all. Obviously there's another love interest, which is obviously Rooker's wife. But that is literally just the whole plot, is that he steals 300 grand from some other arms dealer because obviously Durant's now dead and he's not in the picture. And it's essentially both the other films put together, really, but just with money stolen this time. So what do we think?
And it essentially sucks. It's a terrible movie. Wow. Who'd have thunk it? It's so bad, and it doesn't matter that it was like marginally better than the second one. It's pretty fucking hard to be worse than that piece of shit. Okay,
I felt that a little bit, you know.
Oh, I'm sorry, Darcie, that you love this movie so much. Like, I feel for you, you know.
Okay, I won't say I love it.
I like bad movies as much as the next guy. It was kind of funny, I guess, but then like a lot of it was just bad as hell, man. So bad. Like,
yeah,
they're just all the time they're laughing. These characters are laughing, and I feel like they're laughing at me, and the laughter is so fake. Like,
it was. It was almost as if they knew that Max was watching this movie, and they decided to laugh at his very existence.
Yeah. So like everyone like laughs at stuff they say, like it's their evil plan, like they're like evil geniuses. And their evil plan's finally coming to fruition. Even Darkman does it. It's so stupid.
He does it so many times as well. Like, he'll print off like his 4,000th synthetic skin, and he'll be like, ha 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 ha, yes.
Yeah, he's like, I've done it. It's like, we already knew you could do it.
Literally.
Why are you laughing? He's got his proper face a lot of the time. I feel like probably because they just couldn't afford the prosthetics. Probably couldn't afford the makeup for like the scarred face. So that took me out of it a lot. Amongst all the rest that's just really bad about it. And this was like the first time that I noticed that nobody had actually called him Darkman until now. And even then, it's like he was referenced like once in a newspaper.
Yeah, it was in like a little clipping where it was like, who is the Darkman? And I was like, it's been 3 fucking movies, and only now someone's actually called him Darkman.
Yeah.
For like what reason? Because the picture was in black and white.
Yeah, because he just had like a cloak and a hat on, and everyone was like, ooh, the mysterious Darkman.
It's the Babadook.
Arnold Vosloo, back again as Darkman. Just as bad again. In this film, like a lot of his dialogue, he literally sounds like a voice actor in a really bad anime dub. Like his inflections, just the way he talks. It
doesn't
sounds awful.
It's the way he laughs as well when he does the like an anime villain.
Yeah, it was really anime-ish. Honestly, I got a lot of anime vibes from it, but not a good anime, a bad anime.
Yeah.
Its setup is like it goes to like it's like dark and these two guys are talking. Just I don't remember what happened really. Like arms dealers probably. I mean, it's a Darkman movie. But then they're like, they're trying to like get us to be invested in these guys who are just talking. They're like, how many years we've been doing business together? Like 4 years. Well, wow, these guys have so much chemistry and history. I really hope they survive, or like, I hope they're crucial. But I don't know. I don't think you see him again. And then like he's talking to the guy, and he's like, you know that drink you had? I pissed in it. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think pretty much all the acting is just as bad as the second one. The only thing that really made this film like entertaining to me was Jeff Fahey, who plays Peter Roker, who's the villain in the film, and he's fucking hilarious, especially in like the final couple of scenes. He's just so ridiculously over the top.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, in a terrible kind of way. He's got this like problem with his family, where he's just like, whatever, I'll just play the piano and just like ignore my family. And
yeah, he was like a pretentious little bitch.
I don't know. I hated him so much, and the acting was still bad. Like I don't know. Like he was the best part of the movie, and he still sucked.
He was. He also should have been just the villain from the get-go. Like I would have probably loved the second film a lot more if it was actually him instead of Durant.
Just wipe the second film out of existence. Just have this as the second film, and then that's it. Just make it like a duology.
Yeah, it would have just been the perfect second film because it was meant to be the second film.
I wouldn't have said it was the perfect second film. Still would have sucked.
All right. The perfect second film for a shit film. All right. I'm getting attacked for my.
Maybe they could have put like the budget for the second one into this. Like maybe made it a little bit better. Spent the month that they spent filming both of them, just filming one of them.
Yeah, they didn't. Yeah. We didn't need both. We really didn't need a trilogy. I agree with Max. It just never needed to happen.
Not everything needs to be a trilogy. Can you fucking imagine if like, I don't know, they made like a trilogy out of like some like movies that we've got now. Like imagine like a Blade Runner 3. Like Jesus Christ! Like I dread to think about it, and it's just nothing. Nothing matters, and it's all terrible. He's like, has he perfected liquid skin yet in this movie? Because I feel like that was like a big problem for him, but either he hasn't done it yet, or they skated over it, and we just didn't know.
He started perfecting it in this film, and then they just forgot about it. There was like a point where it's like saying about how it survived for like 500 hours or something instead of like
300 minutes, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that. Multiple hours rather than an hour and a half. Then they never mentioned it ever again.
Yeah, but it's because
maybe they did, and I just forgot about it.
No, they stole it from him, didn't they?
I have no clue.
He's looking at it. Yeah, so essentially he perfected this like skin, and then that she-devil doctor woman was like, oh yeah, that's cool, now we're going to steal the recipe off of you. So she gives it to whatever his name is, and then they have sex on the table. Do you not remember any of this?
I remember them having sex on the table, that's about it. So I remember it literally was just like a scene from a really, really bad porn.
They were just making out, weren't they?
Oh, I don't remember, but it was definitely how it that was definitely how the formula of the film went, was like, oh, we're going to reattach your nerves. Oh, look, you perfected the skin. We're going to steal the skin, and then I'm going to hook up with and then you're going to pretend to be me and go hook up with my wife.
Yeah.
The ultimate cocking.
Yeah.
That's what it should have been called. Darkman 3.
The ultimate cucking.
Darkman 3, the cuckening.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like
Darkman
a sequence where Darkman has to pretend to be Rooker to get into like his house, and his his family have like thrown a surprise birthday party or something for him, and he gets sucked into this party and has to like spend time with Rooker's daughter and his wife Angela, and like he starts to care about these people for some reason, and he realizes that Rooker's a terrible dad and that these people deserve better or something like that. And then he comes back like later on to tell Angela that he was pretending to be Rooker. He like Angela's walking to the car with her daughter, and Peyton just shows up and's like, that guy that was in your house, that was me. And she's like terrified because he's just appeared out of nowhere and is acting really weird.
I can't believe you remember her name.
Thinking?
It's because I wrote it down when they brought it up.
Like, that part was just so fucking ridiculous. Like, who in what mind? Like, I know Darkman isn't like all there or anything, but who in their right mind thought, all right, I'm going to go up to this lady who doesn't know who I am, and I'm going to tell her, oh, I was at your child's play. I was seeing your little child at their play. I was holding your hand. Don't you remember me?
Yeah, that was like the best part of the movie, especially like when, like, because it's the guy's birthday, and he's dressed as him, and he's got his face, and then he's cozying up to the daughter and like treating her like how like you would treat, like, I suppose, just your regular daughter if you had a daughter, and you'd be nice to her and you'd actually pay attention to her. And then like she's like, happy birthday, daddy, and then like gives him a present, which is like this heart, and then he keeps it. He keeps the present that she gave to her father.
Yeah.
He's like, look, I have the present. It was me. And he like shows them the heart, and they're like scared out of their wits. They're like, who the hell is this guy?
Yeah, that was hilarious. And then there's like a scene like afterwards where Peyton like has a dream or something of Angela standing there with this weird like, it's like in a CGI garden or something. There's this huge snake that wraps around her with Peyton's face on it.
Yeah.
What was that even about? That was absolutely amazing.
Out of nowhere. There's nothing like that in any of the other movies. It just suddenly happened.
That was so weird as well. And it only lasted like 2 seconds.
Yeah,
we burst out laughing.
It's so good.
That was so funny. Yeah. Oh dear. I didn't like Bridget either. The blonde woman who
the
blonde
doctor.
woman who has she, everything she says is like laced with seduction. Like the tone of voice is just like she's supposed to be sexy, and look at this. Oh, it's so bad. It's so awful. Like, please, man. Like, you can't even write. Okay, you can't write your male characters. You can't do it. But somehow the female characters are worse. Like, how do you manage that?
It's impressive, all right.
Well, he's got balls. I'll give him that.
There's like a hallucination scene that happens, I think, in all 3 movies, where like Darkman like just suddenly hallucinates and starts having like loads of flashbacks in like this really fast cutting way. And like, I'd get it if it was like once in every movie, because it was once in the first 2 movies, but it happens like 4 times in this film. It like really feels like they were trying to pad it out, because they were like, oh shit, it's not an hour and a half yet, let's throw something in.
Is that the one where like they throw up the montages of like eyeballs and Frankenstein? And
yeah, that made no sense. Just Frankenstein randomly shows up in one of the hallucinations.
Just like random montage pictures of like red smoke and beakers and images of him from the last 3 fucking films. It's just weird.
Like, it would make sense if maybe that was like PTSD or something, but why the fuck was Frankenstein there just for like a couple frames?
I don't know whether it's because he was all like, I'm insecure about people thinking that I'm a freak, because you know the second someone calls him like a freak, he goes, wah! And then starts like fucking going mental.
Yeah, because he's crazy. He's insane. Speaking of which, they use a lot of the same shots from like the previous movie as well. Like he's like going down the manhole and like he's smiling. like, what the hell is happening here? He's like descending down this just random manhole to his Darkman cave, in the Bat Cave. and he's just like smiling as he goes down.
Yeah, and it's not even like they like recreated the shot. It's literally just the exact same clip from the previous movie.
Oh, what, the manhole
recycled.
bit?
Yeah,
That was lazy.
There's when he picks up his mask in the layer as well, the one that's printed.
Yeah, that was lazy.
There's multiple bits like that throughout where they just copy the exact same clip from the second film.
It is lazy. It's very lazy.
Yeah, like maybe they just didn't expect people to watch them back to back, so they thought that maybe no one would notice.
I can never criticise us for this.
I wouldn't
We've
recommend
created a
watching them back to
masterpiece.
back.
It's the only way to do it.
Plot-wise, there's a lot that doesn't really make sense as well.
No.
They like kind of explain how Darkman got the money for to build like his lair and stuff in like a offhand comment. Like he says that he gets like donations from the public or something.
Yeah.
He sounds like a Robin Hood, where he's just like stealing money.
Yeah, it makes no sense. Like, what do you mean donations from the public? Surely, like
He's never
like
mentioned
this
that
secretive
before.
person. Because I put down in the second film in my notes, how can he afford this huge layer with all this technology? And he like says in this film, I get donations from the public or something.
And are we going to forget the fact that most of the people think that he's dead? So who's he actually pretending to be when he's getting donations? Does he like wear other people's faces and then gets
Unless he's
steals
just like
money?
a superhero, like does things, like saves people who are at danger from criminals and then they pay him for it.
Yeah, he's got
Like,
like a
what is it?
Patreon.
Yeah, like he's a vigilante or something, but he gets paid for it.
Don't think about it
have
too
a lot
much.
of patrons on Patreon to be able to afford all that technology.
There's
Yeah, well,
only
everyone loves
one
Darkman.
level. $10,000 a month.
Please, I need more bandages. I have to keep buying more bandages
God,
for
what?
my look. It's my superhero costume. I escaped from hospital covered in bandages, and I just got a coat and a hat, and that's my superhero outfit. And I have no idea why I kept the bandages on, but I just do it. Why did he keep the bandages?
Maybe that's how he saves money. He has his lair because he's only got one outfit that he wears every day.
It's like the
Maybe.
Mummy or the Invisible Man.
Yeah. I don't think there's really much else to say about this film, is there?
No,
Not really.
there's really not.
I like how like he's fighting those guys, and then like the pipes are dropped on him, and he like falls to the ground, and then he gets up, and he's like, "I'm a new man now, stronger than ever."
Ironic because he's supposed to be like the strongest man alive, and he's like, I'm even stronger than that.
No, he says that he's stronger than ever.
Stronger? I don't remember
Yeah.
this. I need to see that
That's
again.
what he says.
That is amazing.
It's terrible line delivery.
At least with
More
this film, it's
mumbling.
not. I don't think it's quite as bad as the second film. Like, it makes a lot of sense that this was filmed before that, because I feel like the second film, they probably were like, fuck it, I can't be bothered to do this anymore, and just let every first take, like,
Yeah.
only take they used.
You see a modicum of the tiniest bit of effort to put into this one, perhaps, but not enough, I suppose. He's like in the hospital with the wife and the child, and then he's like right at the end, he's looking after them, and he's like, I have to go. And then he just like leaves the hospital for like no reason. It's like he has nothing going on. He's just like, I'm gonna go.
You'd think thought that more people would have like questioned the fact that a man in a huge like in a suit and like covered in bandages is like suddenly walking out of a hospital.
Yeah.
Well, not really, because he's in a hospital. I wouldn't question it, really, if that was me. I'd walk past and be like, oh, he's from the hospital.
What? You wouldn't? What, really? Like,
I mean, I'd probably
why
think,
is Darkman
why is he
walking
covered
out of
in
this
them?
hospital?
But if you just come out of the hospital, it's a bit rude to be like, oh, why are you looking like that?
Yeah. Oh, you know what I forgot? Is that they put like this electroshock thingy in his neck, in the back of his neck. They like embed it into him, and
Oh,
so
yeah,
that
and he
they
just-
can like control him. And
He just fucking
I'm
rips
like,
it out.
yeah, he rips it out. Before that, it's really hurting him. And I'm like, didn't all your nerve endings like stop working so you can't feel anything? How are you able to feel this?
Yeah, I think the point was it was like connected to like
That machine.
a vein in his spine or something. That was what like makes him feel or something. Like they needed to reattach that for him to be able to feel or some shit. And they attached it to this machine. It literally makes no sense.
It is nonsensical.
No. You can't feel, like your bones don't allow you to feel. That's not how it works. And then like he gets dumped down this like hole, and then he's like, "Oh, I found some pliers. You fools! You left me with pliers down here. Now I can like take the electro thing out of the back of my neck. I can pull it from my neck." And as he's doing that, he's like laughing. He's like, ha 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 ha. When he finds the pliers, and he tears the electroshock thing out of his neck, and he's like laughing. Like, what? More laughter? Please stop.
Yeah. I've got nothing else to add to this film. Don't know about you guys.
No.
No. Let's go to ratings.
Should we rate this out as snakes?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I do think this is like a large improvement over the second movie, only because I found it funnier. I thought, although the sequence with like Darkman growing to love like Rooker's family was pretty cringy, I appreciated the fact that they were trying to put some heart into it. Like, it felt like they were trying to do something with this movie, even if it didn't work. It didn't feel quite as lazy and like slaps together like the second movie does. That doesn't mean it's like a masterpiece, or doesn't even mean that it felt like this was a necessary movie, because it really wasn't. But I appreciate that there was some effort put into it occasionally. I guess I'd give it like 3 snakes out of 10. It's quite low 3, but yeah.
Yeah. I do not think it was an improvement over the last. I just think it was dumber, and by that token, it became funnier to me. I don't really think they put much effort into it, to be fair. And it's just, yeah, I don't want to watch it again, really, ever. And to give it more than what I'm going to give it is an admission to the fact that I would remember it like in a couple of weeks, and I really don't think that I will. And I'll never think about it again. So, yeah, came out of this, and I'm all the stronger for it. So I'm gonna give it a. I'm still gonna give it a 1 snake out of 10.
Nice.
Boy. Yeah, I enjoyed it more than the second one. It did make me laugh. I actually remembered the story to it as well, which is an achievement for me. But I'm just gonna straight up give it a 3 snaky snakes out of 10.
Nice. And there we go. Our first marathon back.
Woo!
We did it. It was a lot of fun, but I wouldn't do that one again.
No, I'm gonna forget about the films pretty quickly, I think.
No, I'd watch the first one again, but never watch the sequels again.
Yeah,
I
feel
know,
like there are a lot of like movie marathons on our list that are probably going to be like this. I feel like this is quite a common trope of like films like this.
Especially when you get like films where there's like one theatrical movie and then the other 2 are like straight to DVD or TV sequels or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, Chris, I really just want to see you spin that wheel. We accidentally spun it, by the way. I just thought I'd like to tell Max. We did accidentally spin it and we did get a result, but we're obviously not going to count it.
No, don't, please.
But would you like to know what we could have been doing?
Nah.
No, he's not interested. Well,
I
ain't interested.
Remember.
It was Danny Boyle movies, alright?
Yeah. So we got another marathon to do for next week. So stay tuned for that. That'll be something. I mean, I guess. What we got?
I don't know. We're going to see
see
it. Come on. Right.
Remember, we get like 3 vetoes as well.
Okay, and it's chosen
the David Fincher murder mysteries. So you got 7, Zodiac and Gone Girl.
Finally, some good movies.
Yeah,
we already saw 7.
That.
It's called Spiral.
Yeah.
So I think we should veto that.
3 great movies. Looking forward to
they're
watching
good.
them again.
I love Gone Girl. I'm gassed. I'm excited for this.
So, there we go. Fincher movies, 7 and Zodiac and Gone Girl. Fantastic. I love all those movies. Thank you so much for listening. We are back, baby. We did it. We braved the storm of COVID and we're back doing what we always wanted to do with the podcast. So, what are we on now? Episode 32. In 3 more episodes, we've got a show to watch. Episode 35, we'll be watching and discussing Westworld Season 1. So, be ready for that and watch Westworld. We've got our social medias. We've got YouTube, The Sunday Movie Marathon, Twitter @Sunday Movie Pod, Facebook @Sunday Movie Marathon, and Letterboxd @Sunday MM. Thank you so much for listening. Another week in the bag, another episode for the books. We're back better than ever and with a new co-host. And thank you, Darcie, for being on for the foreseeable future.
It's all good. Just get some good films now, boys, okay?
Yeah, we've got a good week ahead of us. So yeah, brilliant stuff. And don't watch Irreversible. Bye-bye.
Oh my...